Hello, and thank you for tuning into today's weather update. I am Letitia Humphreys, your weather forecaster. The high surf warning remains in effect, mainly for those northern, eastern, and western coastal areas, not so much the sheltered ones, which are more on the south, but there are northerly swells that are coming out of the North Atlantic, and they are reaching up to 2.4 meters or 8 feet at times, and even higher in certain areas depending on the slope of the shore. So the high surf warning is in effect for Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, and the British Virgin Islands, at least until the next 24 hours, and could be downgraded to a high surf advisory by the time we get to tomorrow. There's a high surf advisory, however, that is in effect for Montserrat, St. Kitts, and Nevis, as their swells are a little bit lower, and those swells are getting up to 2.1 meters or 7 feet, mainly on the northern, western, and eastern coastal areas as well. So those swells are going to be around. The beaches are going to remain a bit unsafe, at least up until we get around to about Sunday. So here's some potential impacts associated with those high surfs. The beaches are likely to be closed on those points that I pointed out, the more dangerous areas, because there are going to be some dangerous breaking waves or surfs at the coastlines. So it is going to cause a disruption for beach goers. Also for persons who do those boating activities, those tourist boating activities near the coastal areas, those are going to be quite hazardous at this time. There are also going to be challenges of rip currents and sand erosion, as well as disruption to desalination plants. So now let's turn our attention to our tropical weather outlook and what we're looking at out there in the Atlantic at this time. There is that area of disturbed weather that is still in the central Atlantic, has been given a 20% chance to develop within the next 2 days and a 40% chance within the next 7 days. However, this system is expected to begin moving towards the northeast. It is now over an area of where the water is a bit cooler, trying to develop that warm low center. However, as it moves off towards the northeast, it will move over colder waters, and therefore it may develop more so some frontal characteristics and lose its nature for it to become more of a subtropical or tropical storm. So we're continuing to monitor that system and to see exactly what it eventually develops into. So there is a frontal boundary, that's a low pressure center that I pointed out, and a frontal boundary, a stationary front attached to it that is stretching all the way across the Leeward Islands, therefore the British Virgin Islands as well as Anguilla, and also Barbuda could be seeing some cloudy conditions as well as a moderate chance of showers for the rest of the afternoon and even into tomorrow. For the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, not much weather activity, mainly dominated by the high pressure system at this time. There is a trough in the Central Caribbean Sea, and there is also a prefrontal trough just to the front of that stationary front, but not really impacting us in the Eastern Caribbean at this time. So our forecast for the rest of the day, mainly for the British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, and Barbuda, we're anticipating a 60% chance of showers, but for Antigua and Montserrat, as well as St. Kitts and Nevis, the chance of showers will remain at around 40%. But for tomorrow, Friday, across Antigua and Barbuda, there is a 60% chance of showers. In the forecast, Saturday, 40%. Sunday, Monday, the chance of showers will continue to decrease. The breeze out of the east, southeast, and then eventually shifting to the east within the moderate range. The daytime highs hovering around 31 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit, while the overnight lows 21 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The seas are going to be decreasing as we go further into the weekend, so seas are expected to be safe by the time we get around to Sunday. Those advisories and warnings will likely be dropped by that time. So for Montserrat, we're looking at those wave heights going down. The swells will continue to linger, and as I mentioned, they will begin to fall off as we go further into the weekend, making the beaches a little bit more safer for bathing. St. Kitts Nevis, similar conditions, and the British Virgin Islands as well, similar conditions to Antigua and Barbuda. And also Anguilla as well. So we are your Leeward Islands and British Virgin Islands Weather Authority, where we continue to give you regular updates here on our YouTube channel as well as our other various social media platforms, our hotline as well as our website. I am Letitia Humphreys saying have a good afternoon.